You didn't choose to be broke, but someone chose it for you. Before you were old enough to question anything, a blueprint was installed in your mind. A blueprint that dictates how much money you're allowed to earn, how much you're allowed to keep, and how much you believe you deserve. Your poverty was designed before you were even born. And right now, that blueprint is running in the background of every financial decision you make, every job you accept, every opportunity you ignore. Every time you tell yourself, I can't afford that, that's not your voice, that's the program talking. Designed, installed, running. In the next few minutes, you're going to see exactly how this happened, who installed it, and most importantly, how to rip it out and replace it with something that actually works. Because your poverty is not bad luck. It's not the economy. It's not your boss. It's architecture. And once you see the blueprint, you can never unsee it. The poverty code. Before you learned to read, before you could tie your shoes, your brain was already recording everything about money. Every argument your parents had about bills, every time your mother whispered, we can't afford that, every time your father said, money doesn't grow on trees, those weren't just phrases, they were installation commands. Neuroscience calls this implicit memory. Between the ages of 0 and 7, your brain operates primarily in theta wave state, the same state hypnotherapists used to reprogram behavior. You were literally in a hypnotic trance for the first 7 years of your life, absorbing every belief, every fear, every limitation your environment fed you. Give me a child until he is 7, and I will show you the man. And here's what makes this terrifying. You don't remember the installation. You can't recall the exact moment you decided that wealth was for other people, but that decision is running your life right now. Every paycheck you accept, every price tag you flinch at, every dream you quietly abandon. All of it traces back to code you never wrote. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research at Stanford showed that 95% of our behavior comes from subconscious programming. 95%. That means the conscious mind, the part of you that watches videos like this and says, I want to be wealthy, controls only 5% of your actions. You're fighting your finances with 5% of your brain, while the other 95% is running a poverty program on autopilot. But understanding this is the first step to breaking free, because what comes next reveals exactly who wrote that code. The architects. Your parents weren't trying to make you poor, let's be clear about that. They loved you, they did their best. But they passed down the only financial operating system they knew, which was the one their parents gave them, which was the one their grandparents gave them. Poverty is generational software. Generational software. Think about the phrases you grew up hearing. Rich people are greedy. Money is the root of all evil. We're not that kind of family. Be grateful for what you have. None of those phrases were about gratitude or morality. They were defense mechanisms. When your family couldn't access wealth, they made wealth the enemy. It's a psychological phenomenon called cognitive dissonance reduction. If I can't have it, it must be bad. And you inherited that logic as truth. You were taught to distrust the very thing you need to survive. A landmark study published in the Journal of Economic Psychology tracked financial behaviors across 3 generations and found that money attitudes, not income levels, were the strongest predictor of financial outcomes. Your attitude toward money was set before you earned your first dollar. If this belief hit close to home, hit like and subscribe to reprogram more of your money blocks. The next one might be the one holding you back the most. But the architects weren't just your parents. There's a much larger system at play, and it's been shaping your relationship with money since the day you walked into a classroom. School trap. You spent 12 to 16 years in a system designed to produce one thing. Employees, not entrepreneurs, not investors, not independent thinkers. Employees. Employees. The modern education system was modeled after the Prussian factory system of the 1800s. Its purpose was never to create wealth. It was to create obedient, punctual workers who follow instructions and don't question authority, and it works beautifully. Think about what school taught you. Show up on time, follow the rules, wait for permission, ask before you speak, trade your time for a grade. Now replace grade with paycheck, and you have the exact behavior pattern of 90% of the workforce. The school system was designed to create good factory workers, not free thinkers. What school never taught you is how money actually works, how compound interest builds empires, how assets generate income while you sleep, how your tax code rewards business owners and punishes employees. Assets, income, freedom. That wasn't an oversight, that was the design. Because if everyone understood how wealth actually works, who would show up at the factory on Monday morning, you were trained to work for money instead of making money work for you. And that single reversal, that one mental shift, separates the wealthy from everyone else. But there's something even more insidious than what school taught you, and it's happening right now in your pocket. Digital prison. Every time you scroll through social media, you're reinforcing your poverty programming. Not because social media is evil, but because the algorithm has learned exactly what keeps you poor. It feeds you comparison. It feeds you envy. It feeds you the illusion that everyone else is winning while you're standing still. And your brain cannot tell the difference between real threat and digital anxiety. A study from the University of Pittsburgh found that people who spend more than 2 hours a day on social media are twice as likely to report feelings of financial inadequacy, regardless of their actual income. You could be making six figures and still feel broke because some influencer just posted a picture of their Lamborghini. But here's the part nobody talks about. Social media is designed to make you consume, not create. Every ad, every sponsored post, every lifestyle video is engineered to make you spend money you don't have on things you don't need to impress people you don't know. The wealthy use social media as a tool. They post, they sell, they build audiences. The poor use social media as entertainment. They scroll, they buy, they compare. Same platform, completely different operating systems. The device in your pocket is either a wealth-building machine or a poverty trap. The difference isn't the phone, it's the mind using it. And speaking of your mind, there's a voice inside it right now that's been lying to you your entire life. The inner saboteur. You've had the ideas, you've seen the opportunities, and every single time a voice inside you said, "That's not for people like us." That voice has a name in psychology. It's called the financial thermostat. Just like a thermostat in your house regulates temperature, your subconscious mind regulates how much money you're allowed to have. Financial thermostat. When you start earning more than your programmed set point, your brain triggers self-sabotage to bring you back down. You overspend, you make bad investments, you pick fights with the people helping you grow. You quit right before the breakthrough. It looks like bad luck. It feels like bad luck, but it's precision engineering. Your subconscious is protecting the identity it was given. We're working class. We're not money people. I'll never be rich. Those aren't descriptions. They're commands. Your identity is the ceiling your income cannot break through. T. Harv Eker explains this perfectly in his research on money blueprints. He found that every person has a preset financial comfort zone, and whenever they exceed it, unconscious mechanisms pull them back. Lottery winners go broke because their thermostat is set to poverty. Your income can only grow to the extent that you do. Self-made millionaires stay rich because their thermostat is set to wealth. The money follows the mindset, always, but recognizing the saboteur isn't enough. You need to understand the fuel it runs on, and that brings us to the most dangerous force in your financial life. Fear economics. Fear is the most expensive emotion you will ever feel. Not anger, not sadness. Fear. Because fear doesn't just make you feel bad, it makes you make terrible financial decisions. When you operate from scarcity, when you believe there isn't enough, your brain activates the amygdala, the survival center. And when your amygdala is running the show, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning, strategy, and long-term thinking, goes offline. Offline. This is why people stay in jobs they hate. This is why they never negotiate their salary. This is why they hoard pennies while millionaires invest millions. They're not stupid, they're scared. And scared brains don't build wealth, they build walls. Fear doesn't protect you from poverty. Fear guarantees it. A Harvard Business School study found that individuals who made financial decisions from a place of fear earned an average of 40% less over a decade than those who made decisions from calculated analysis. 40%. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between renting and owning, between surviving and thriving. The wealthy feel fear too, but they've learned to act despite it. They've trained their nervous system to interpret financial risk as opportunity, not threat. Same stimulus, completely different response, completely different bank account. Fear is a liar, and every day you listen to it, it steals from you. But there's something even more subtle than fear that's draining your wealth, and you're doing it every single day without realizing it. Language of lack. Listen to the words you use about money. I can't afford it, that's too expensive. Money is tight, I'm just getting by. Every one of those phrases is a command to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious doesn't argue, it doesn't question, it simply obeys. Words become reality. Neurolinguistic research has demonstrated that language doesn't just describe reality, it creates it. When you say I can't afford it, your brain stops looking for ways to afford it. The search is over. The file is closed. But when you say how can I afford it, your brain activates its problem-solving networks. It starts looking for solutions, opportunities, resources. Same situation, different question, completely different outcome. Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Robert Kiyosaki built his entire wealth philosophy around this single distinction. Poor people make statements. Rich people ask questions. I can't versus how can I? That's not positive thinking nonsense. That's how neural pathways work. Every time you repeat a scarcity phrase, you strengthen the neural pathway for scarcity. Every time you ask an abundance question, you build new pathways for solutions. Your vocabulary is either building bridges to wealth or walls against it. Start auditing your language today. Write down every money phrase you catch yourself saying for 1 week. You'll be horrified, but you'll also be awake. And once you're awake, you need to understand the environment that's been keeping you asleep. The poor circle. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Jim Rohn said that decades ago, and science keeps proving him right. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that obesity spreads through social networks. If your friend becomes obese, your chances of becoming obese increase by 45%, not because they force-feed you, because behavior is contagious, and so is financial behavior. If your 5 closest people complain about money, you will complain about money. If they celebrate mediocrity, you will accept mediocrity. If they think investing is gambling, you will never invest. Your environment is programming you in real time, and you don't even notice. This isn't about abandoning your friends or family. It's about understanding that proximity is power. Proximity is power. The wealthy curate their environments obsessively. They join masterminds. They attend conferences. They hire coaches. Not because they're snobs, but because they understand that exposure determines expansion. You cannot outperform your environment indefinitely. If you want to change your financial life, start by changing what you consume, the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the conversations you engage in. Plant yourself in wealthy soil and watch what grows. But even the right environment won't save you if you're making the next mistake, the one that keeps millions of people trapped in a cycle they can't even see. Time versus money. Here is the lie that keeps the entire poverty machine running. Trade your time for money, get a job, work 40 hours a week, get paid, repeat for 40 years, retire. Maybe this is the only model most people ever learn. And it is the single most effective wealth prevention system ever created. Prevention. Because time is finite, you cannot manufacture more hours. So if your income depends entirely on the hours you work, your income has a ceiling, and that ceiling is low. The wealthy don't trade time for money. They build systems that generate money independent of their time. 1. Employees trade time for money. 2. Business owners build systems. 3. Investors make money work for them. Warren Buffett makes approximately $3 million per hour. Not because he works $3 million harder than you, because his money works while he sleeps, while he eats, while he reads his newspaper. The shift from time-based income to asset-based income is the single most important financial transition you will ever make. And it starts with one question you need to ask yourself every single day. Is what I'm doing right now building an asset, or is it just paying a bill? If you stop working and your income stops, you don't have a career, you have a trap. Most people spend their entire lives building someone else's dream. And that brings us to the final piece, the one that ties everything together and shows you exactly how to break free. The reprogramming. Everything you've heard in this video leads to one conclusion. Your poverty was engineered by your family, by your school, by your phone, by your fear, by your language, by your circle, by the very system you live in. But here's the part that changes everything. You can reprogram it. If your brain was programmed for poverty, it can be reprogrammed for wealth. Neuroplasticity proves that your brain rewires itself based on what you consistently think, say, and do. The same mechanism that installed poverty can install abundance. Here's how you start. First, identify the beliefs. Write down every thought you have about money for 30 days. You'll find the code. Second, interrupt the pattern. Every time you catch a scarcity thought, replace it with a question. I can't afford it becomes how can I afford it? Third, change the input. Read what the wealthy read. Listen to what they listen to. Study their patterns, not their possessions. Fourth, raise your thermostat gradually. Take small financial risks. Invest a small amount. Start a side project. Each action tells your subconscious that you're safe at a higher level. Fifth, protect the new program. Guard your mind like the wealthy guard their assets. Your mind is the most valuable asset you will ever own. This isn't motivation. This is architecture. You're not hoping for wealth. You're engineering it. The same way your poverty was engineered, brick by brick, belief by belief, you can build something new. something deliberately designed for abundance. You walked into this video believing that your financial situation was a combination of bad luck, bad timing, and bad circumstances. Now you know the truth. It was code, written by people who didn't know they were writing it, executed by a system that profits from your compliance, and maintained by habits you didn't even know you had. Code rewritten. But today, the awareness shifts. Today, you stop being a passive recipient of someone else's financial blueprint and you become the architect of your own. Every belief you challenge rewires a neural pathway. Every question you ask opens a door. Every action you take raises your thermostat. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. You are not a victim of your finances. You are the programmer of your mind. And the moment you truly accept that, everything changes. If you made it this far, comment code deleted to prove you're ready to erase the poverty blueprint and write a new one. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty. Now you know how to reprogram it. If this video exposed something in you, subscribe. There's more to uncover.